morning, everyone. Matthew with Be Different. And today's Monday, the 10th, April 10th. And I was reading some of the scriptures this morning, and it was talking about different assumptions of people. And you can have different assumptions of people based on the type of person they are, whether it's a different color than yours, whether it's a different religion, whether it's a different moral structure, or maybe you're a complete opposite. I'm not talking about your wives here, of course. Usually your wives are your complete opposite in some respect. Not in all respects, but in some. So basically, what the assumptions are talking about in the Bible in this particular scenario is found in Luke 10, 25. And we'll start there. It's a little long, so bear with me. But it says, "Just then a scholar of Hebrew Scriptures tried to trap Jesus. The scholar said, 'Teacher, what must I do to experience eternal life?' Jesus says, answering with a question, 'What is written in the Hebrew Scriptures? How do you interpret their answer to your question?' The scholar says, 'You shall love the Eternal One your God with everything you have, all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself.' Jesus says, 'Perfect, your answer is correct. Follow these commands and you will live.' The scholar was frustrated by this response because he was hoping to make himself appear smarter than Jesus. The scholar asked, 'But who is my neighbor?' Jesus says, 'This fellow was traveling down from Jerusalem to Jericho when some robbers mugged him. They took his clothes, beat him to a pulp, and left him naked and bleeding and in critical condition. By chance, a priest was going down the same road, and when he saw the wounded man, he crossed over to the other side and passed by. Then a Levite who was on his way to assist the temple also came and saw the victim lying there, and he too kept his distance. Then a despised Samaritan journeyed by. When he saw the fellow, he felt compassion for him. The Samaritan went over to him, stopped the bleeding, applied some first aid, and put the poor fellow on his donkey. He brought the man to an inn and cared for him through the night. The next day, the Samaritan took out some money, 2 days' wages to be exact, and paid the innkeeper, saying, 'Please take care of this fellow, and if this isn't enough, I'll repay you next time I pass through.' Which of these three proved himself a neighbor to the man who had been mugged by the robbers?" The scholar said, "The one who showed mercy to him." Jesus said, "Well, then go and behave like that Samaritan." So what is happening is, in Jesus' story, he is showing the scholars that it doesn't matter who you are. Yes, the priest should have stopped. Yes, the other guy should have stopped, because in life, those are supposed to be the most caring people. That's not always the case. I'm not saying that those people are not caring. Jesus is giving an illustration that the most unlikely person that you would think that would help, this poor guy, stepped in and helped. On Friday, my wife and I saw A Case for Christ with some friends. And it's a story about Lee Strobel and how he was an atheist, hardcore atheist, and became a Christian by proving that Christ existed. And that's all it took for this man. And most of us don't even need that. We just need, a miracle to happen in our lives, or we need, change to happen in our lives, or see it in other people, and people are led to Christ. And people would assume that Lee Strobel would not be able to be saved because he's an atheist, because he doesn't even believe God exists. He believes in something, he just doesn't believe that God exists. And through his wife, in her example, he was able to change. And we can't always assume that no one can change. We can't assume that no one is bigger than their circumstances. We can't assume that people who we think should help. And by that I mean so you see, let's say your pastor, let's say your neighbor, you think they should do something that is in their their power to do, but they don't do it. And so you're assuming that those particular people or your neighbor is not going to ever do anything that's compassionate. That's not true. Everybody's got a heart for something, and our objective as Christians is to pray for these people. Just like someone would pray for Lee Strobel, who's an atheist, to come to Christ. Same thing is we have to pray for everyone in power and authority, people not in power, our neighbors, our friends. It's only God who can change the heart. Heart's right here. So I encourage you guys today to not put assumptions on other people. What you think they should do, how they should do it. Let God be the judge of their hearts. Let God change our hearts. Our goal, our number one objective is to pray for them, to encourage them and lift them up in the Spirit, because that is our job as Christians. We are not to assume, not to judge. It's not our place. It's God's place. Be encouraged today, guys. Keep your heads up. It's Monday. It's going to be a great week. Be different, everybody.